Hey guys, welcome to my first patch notes video. I just wanted to quickly go over the patch notes, give you my first input, and then kind of open it up to the comments to see what you guys think. If you guys love it, if you guys hate it, let me know down below. Let's discuss. But let's just hop right into it. Obviously, this is releasing on the 21st. If you're watching it after the 21st, this doesn't really pertain to you because you're kind of already playing the game. But let's just jump into the most important part, the new hero. Shinbi Appears. I used to love Shinbi and Paragon. She wasn't like my main or anything, but I thought she was a fairly unique concept to be added to the game. Sort of a small character dashing around, hitting and dashing out. So I think she makes for a great like off lane, mid lane, or even jungler if you really want to. She really can't play support. She can play ADC if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. But I'm gonna go over the abilities real quick, starting with her passive, Biting Melody. Basic attacks deal an additional 10 damage. On hit, periodically, Biting Melody deals 4 times damage, damaging an enemy hero, with an ability decreases cooldown by 1 second. It's a little confusing. Obviously, if I'm wrong about this, I will talk about it in my how-to video a little bit later once I actually get my hands on her. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure this is just a dot as well as a little bit extra damage plus some extra cooldown for your abilities, because some of her abilities have a quite of a longer cooldown compared to some that would play her role as well. Primary ability, line tempo. This is probably going to be your first ability that you grab, other than maybe rushing beat in off lane. This is your poke. This is just your what is it called? Track stacker. Just something you throw out to do a little bit of extra damage. Just summons a Spear Wolf, lunges in a straight line, deals damage, adds a stack of track. That's about it. Some of the more fun abilities: Circle Rhythm, summon 4 Spirit Wolves. Circle should be for 3 seconds, granting a shield for the same duration and after the wolves expire. So I believe in Paragon this actually used to heal you. Now it adds a shield, which I think is better because the shield can fall off. Healing is more permanent. You can just keep throwing that on until you're back to full health. It's basically just trading health for mana. I prefer the shield because theoretically you want to dash in, hit this, hit them, and then dash out. Hopefully taking as little damage as possible, and then following it up with an all kill later. But I'll get into that in a second. Her alternate ability, Rushing Beat. This is her movement ability, which makes her a great off lane or mid lane. I honestly think this is going to make Shinbi insanely hard to gank, but I guess we'll see how that turns out. She might be squishy enough that you can just stun her and keep her locked down. But Rushing Beat, dash forward in a fixed distance, dealing magical damage to all enemy Shinbi passes through. Passes through is really important because you can't body block her. She can just use it, dash through you, and just keep going. And it's a double dash because it can be re-triggered within 3 seconds of casting to dash a second time. This is going to put her in that same field as like Gideon and Fang Mao that can just get out of any situation. It might make her insanely frustrating for junglers and anyone in mid lane or off lane to actually secure the kill. Now, her ultimate ability. Her ultimate ability adds a passive, sort of like how Crunches adds a passive, which is dealing damage to an enemy with an ability, adds track for 8 seconds, stacking up to 8 times. And then whenever you activate it, it summons a pack of Spirit Wolves to attack the target with the most track stacks, dealing magic damage per Spirit Wolf. This is... I sort of wish the predecessor or the predecessor game developers would have taken Shinbi and changed her just a little bit, because I don't think her ultimate ability is anything to write home about. I don't think it's bad in any form of the sense, but honestly, with all kill could just be used as another ability, and then her ultimate could be something different. I don't know exactly what it would be. I'm not a game developer myself, but it just seems a little lackluster. But I could be wrong. It could be insanely powerful. I won't know until I get into the game. But that should be. I'd like to make a how-to video about her eventually. Obviously, I got to play her a little bit first, make sure that she's not completely different from Paragon days. But that's the biggest thing. Let's move on to some of the improvements. Finally, there is a store in the game. I have had that platinum burning in my pocket. I want to buy skins. That's the best part about a MOBA, having unique characters, clash it out, especially with a character list so little starting off. I think skins are so important. Plus, I'm a material girl myself. I want skins. I want to look pretty. I want to be a pretty princess on the field. Like this guy. This little lizard right here. Right there, little Murdoch lizard. I used to love that skin in Paragon. Let's just get him in the game, Predecessor. I'm gonna be buying that skin freaking day one. But yeah, that's the story. Unfortunately, we are only gonna have 12 skins right off the bat, but hopefully, like most games, they'll be on a rotation and you'll just be able to buy them, and hopefully they'll be special. The more you get it. Also, they're gonna have a a battle pass esque system that's completely free that you'll be able to earn skins as well. But the biggest update, honestly, to the game, I think, is the Fangtooth update. Fangtooth has had a massive overhaul. So, right off the bat, you can't just infinitely stack Fangtooth anymore. There's no longer a 6, 7, 8 stack Fangtooth that you just cannot come back from late game. It'll cap out at 3, so that means the third buff will just give you 8% extra damage, and that's it. But to counteract this, Primal Fangtooth has also been added. This Primal Fangtooth will activate once 3 total Fangtooth have been killed in a single game. So no matter if it's enemy team or your team, once 3 are dead, Primal Fangtooth spawns, and he'll stay Primal Fangtooth for the rest of the game. Now, Primal Fangtooth will add the buff, just like normal Fangtooth, but it'll also add the new passive Primordial Blaze, which will deal damage to an enemy target that deals extra true damage as a dot over time, over 4 seconds. This is amazing, first of all, because no longer will you run into these team fights at Fangtooth right when they spawn, and the person that wins Fangtooth will sometimes lose the fight because one person is focused on killing Fangtooth, and then you'll just get wiped and have to go from there. This turns into like an all-out fight for Primal Fangtooth because it's like a miniature prime buff, basically. You deal extra damage, so once everyone's grouped together, you can wipe the other team also fighting for Fangtooth. I think this is a great change to Fangtooth. I'm really glad they've added this. It makes Fangtooth feel a little bit more important, especially as a team buff. You can really push lanes right after that and push people under towers, secure kills. Also, this buff will is really good at securing kills because enemy heroes under 25% health get 50% extra damage. I think that's absolutely insane. Honestly, I would change this a little bit. We wouldn't have even added this, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you guys think this is a great change, or if Fangtooth should just be a snowballing tool like it has been so far. I'm not a huge fan of snowballing, but let me know. And then this is just some minor changes. Player versus AI. This is something I'm not probably going to be using all too much, but it's great for new players of the game to kind of get their feet wet, so to say, and jump into a AI game to test things out. I'm glad they're adding it. It might be a little buggy so far, but guess we'll have a chance to check it out soon. This is a weird change. This to me seems like a developer just didn't like Gadget's base skin, so they wanted to change it to kind of fit the aesthetic, which I get it. Gadget did sort of seem out of place with her bright yellow armor. I don't think it was necessary, but whatever. New skin. A lot of new skins coming in this new patch. Other improvements, they've updated Gadget's recommended items. The effects for sentries have been updated. The visual effects for heroes dying have been updated. And then, delay on range attacks, impact decals, getting sound effects, little stuff that you probably really won't even notice. But we'll jump into the balance changes for the heroes now. Now, right off the bat, Crunch is getting a little bit of a buff. I'm just going to rapid fire these. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. Crunch is getting a little bit of buff, which is great. He kind of falls off really bad late game, but it's a monster in mid game. Gideon, slight health buff, a slight health nerve. Not that important. Muriel, a lot of changes. This was so needed. Muriel was just probably the worst support out of all of them. Like she was useful a little bit mid or early to mid game, and then late game she just kind of fell off to nothing. I mean, did anyone focus on Muriel? Other than, free kills, free gold. Her slow has been increased by 10%. Her slow duration has been increased by nearly 25%. Shielding has now magical power scaling. Consecrated ground increased. Reversal of fortune, slight decrease. And charge up time is a little bit less, which is great because the charge up time will honestly get you killed. I haven't played much Muriel, but maybe with this change, I will. Narbash got nerfed a little bit. This was kind of needed. He just needs a little bit less mana. His early game, it's really hard to get that ADC if you can just keep him topped off. And then mana regeneration decreased a little bit. Just slight nerfs. I think it was probably a good choice since I feel like I've seen a Narbash in almost every game for a little while. Rampage also changed quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but he was nerfed a bit. Because, I mean, early to mid game, it was almost impossible to kill a Rampage in a jungle due to how much he can heal and how much he can just hit you from a rock and run away or jump on you. I'm really glad he's been changed a little bit. He's a big old beefcake. I think he should stay a big old beefcake and just focus on getting hits rather than dealing out so much damage. Revenant, I don't know if this was necessary. I'm actually working on my how to Revenant video right now. Sorry, it's taking a little while. But kind of what I say in my video, he doesn't need more physical power. He just stacks critical strike chance and obliterates heroes late game, even mid game. I don't think this was necessary. The magical power scaling decreased. I haven't seen a ton of Revenant mages, but they are out there. It is pretty good. But overall, I don't know if you should have given a 50% increase to his power scaling per critical strike chance. But we'll see. They know what they're doing. Maybe. Richter, this was probably really necessary. Base mana regeneration decreased, mana cost increased, so you get less hooks. It's not going to change anything really early game, but it might change things, or it will change things early game. Probably won't change things late game. If he still hooks you, you're still probably dead. The range is a little crazy. Sevarog, this was probably necessary. Sevarog has sort of been an overwhelming force in off lane. His overall health regeneration has been decreased right off the bat, and then his minion healing has been decreased. I think this is the most important part, because the biggest thing for Sevarog was that he was able to stay in lane and sort of just poke you at no consequence to himself, because he could siphon off enemy minions and heal himself pretty good amount. With only a 3 or 4 second cooldown on Siphon, he could heal himself constantly, and offlane was kind of a pain in the butt to deal with Sevarog. Now, let's hop into the items. I'm not going to do much on the items. Really just going to give my first initial input. Overall, this says it. The patch, we're taking a look at Omnivamp. Thank goodness. Omnivamp has been a destructive force for anyone that has a little bit of health. I'm looking at Grux, I'm looking at Rampage, I'm looking at Crunch, I'm looking at Steel sometimes. It turned into these things that you needed 2 or 3 people to take them out because they could just outlast you. So I'm really glad they're changing Omnivamp. Well, they're not changing Omnivamp, but they're lessening its overall stackability. For instance, Nightfall, they just took out the overall Omnivamp and then added more Omnivamp for its passive, just to even that out a little bit. Mutilator, they just decreased it by a pretty good amount. Great choice. Mutilator is basically on every beefy hero, like I just said. And then for Tectonic Mallet, they just took it out, which I'm sort of surprised they did. I'm not upset about it. I think there should be less Omnivamp items because I think, like I said, there's so much healing out there for these big beefy characters, and I'm tired of this like tank meta that we're sort of in right now. Obviously, nothing is meta because it's early access. It's not even it's not full game yet. So I am really glad to see these changes. I'm like to see a bit more squishy characters coming in, like Shinbi. Wellspring. Just a little bit of a changes and bug fixes. Nothing too much. I'm not going to read all these. I'm going to link this down below if you would like to read all these. But I'm not. Like I said in the beginning, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. I'd like to, start a discussion on if you guys think these are great changes or if you're excited to see Shinbi, let me know. Have a good one. I'll see you on the field.